So today, I'll be demonstrating how to install our Underglow kit onto your Anki Overdrive or Drive vehicle. On the left, you can see we have the components that come inside the kit. It's the Underglow light itself here, a few adhesive strips, the wiring for the kit, as well as some heat-resistant masking tape to aid you in soldering, because these wires need to get soldered to the circuit board of the car. So if you need them to avoid any kind of overlap or anything like that, if you don't have the steadiest set of hands because the contacts are very close to each other, we include that in the kit for you, as well as a little tool here, a little installation tool, aka toothpick. But comes in really handy, and you'll see that here in just a second. Then we have the demo car. We're going to be using thermo today to demonstrate how to basically go from what you normally have over to something like this. So here's Nuke with the fluorescent green Underglow setup. And of course you can see the cars in the back. Okay, so thermo is going to be our demo car here. So the first thing you want to do is take off the body of the car. Remove the lower screw. Set that off to the side. You also want to take off the plastic protector and the tires. Be mindful of the orientation of the tires, because on some of the Anki vehicles they are unidirectional, so just keep that in mind when you take the tires off. And we want to take those off because we need to clean. I'll show you here. We need to make sure there's no hair, carpet, or anything like that inside the wheel area. And if you've ever played the game, you're bound to have something. So make sure there's none of that in there. And you need to go ahead and take a little bit of alcohol and a cleaning wipe, preferably lint-free, and just wipe down all inside of here, over here. Same thing on the other side. And then around this front area here. We need to clean that up. Okay, because we're going to adhere to those areas. So I'll go ahead and get my cleaning supplies and get this going. You want to make sure everything is nice and dry. Even though I use alcohol, you still want to kind of go behind it with the dry side. And again, make sure you don't have any hair, lint, or anything like that. So you can see that looks pretty clean. We're ready for the next step. Next starts the adhesive strips here. So you can take one of these guys here, and you get 3 of each in the kit. 2 that you'll be using, and then you got a spare just in case you drop one on the floor or you just make a mistake. And I'll go ahead and use our magical toothpick here to separate the backing. Okay, and as always, anytime you're dealing with an adhesive material, you want to avoid touching the adhesive side. Okay, only touch the sides and the backing section, like you see me doing here. Okay, let's get that back in focus. All right, so once you have that, you want to go ahead and just pick up the car nice and gently, and what we're going to do is we're going to rest it inside here. Okay, you want to go about midway. So again, looking at the backing, I have it folded approximately midway. You can just take that, set that in the center of the wheel well here. Let's see, right about there. Okay, you can see that's about midway. Then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and press it down. Okay, get it to stick to that nice clean area that you made. Okay, you can just make sure you smooth out all the air in the strip. Okay, and then once you kind of get it started, you'll need to pull it away from that rear wall here. okay, because it'll naturally want to stick there. But then once you pull it away, you can kind of finish what you started and just rub in that back corner there. That way you get nice good adhesion all the way through. Okay, and again, smooth it out so that it looks clear. That'll indicate that you have all of the air from underneath and that you have a nice good bond. Okay, and that's looking pretty good. Just make sure I got that inside the wheel area there a little bit. And it should rotate nice and freely. You don't want to have the adhesive so far inside that it interferes. And we avoid that by putting it about halfway. We know the depth, so that halfway mark is a nice little gauge to make sure that you're not too far inwards. So once you do that, go ahead and fold it down again. Okay, be very careful. You don't want to just pull it off. So take your time, fold it down a little bit like so. Okay, and then we will need to come over here with our magical toothpick and just kind of fold it down right up against the wall here so that the underglow light can just sit right on top of here. Okay, just kind of go around a little bit and make a nice little indentation. You can see that there. Okay, and we can set the light right on top of there, the first half of it. Okay, so we take this. Now when you lay this down, you want to be mindful of the orientation. Okay, because we're going to connect, move these out the way a little bit here. As far as the wiring goes, the red or the positive wire is going to connect right here. The negative or the black wire is going to connect right there. Okay, so that being said, we'll call this the driver's side. You want the positive side of the light to be on the driver's side. You can identify the positive side by looking at the connector and finding the one, see if I can get that there you go, the one with the hole in it. You can see the small little hole there. Okay, this is the positive side. So again, we're going to put positive on the driver's side. So go ahead and just fold that back a little bit. Make sure it's still up against the wall, like you can see that it is that gear well, we'll call it. Okay, so right up there, and then just kind of take one hand and hold it up against the wall. Okay, once you confirm that, you can take the backing off just like so. And then starting kind of from the bottom, this area here, you want to kind of push from below to again maintain that that contact with the gear wall, and then just kind of roll it over just like so. Okay, you can do that with your finger. I was just showing you so my hand hopefully wasn't getting in the way. So we push first and then lay down. You get it? All right, and what that'll do is that'll give us a nice good bond and a nice little grab on the light to keep it from sliding too much. We want it to slide a little bit because we'll have to make adjustments later, but that's good for right now. So we'll do the same thing with the other side. Okay, you can see there again. Right, and then we take this and just kind of roll it around, and then hold that back just a little bit. Place our light in place. Hold with one hand, and then go ahead and take the backing off. And again, you want to push, make sure that light is seated, and you want to push from the bottom before you roll it on over down, just like so. Okay, and you got a nice little grab there. All right, so it's on, but we're not done yet, of course. So you can see here, I'm a bit uneven, right? But this is why we want to leave a little bit of slack. So now you can just make a little adjustment and kind of even the light out on both sides. Okay, ultimately it's going to go up in front of this area here. So we can loosen it if we need to, but here we can pretty much just kind of slide it up like that. And it's going to have to come up some no matter what. So we go ahead and just give it a little bit of slack. Okay, you don't want it really tight. You also don't want it really loose. For right now, that's okay. So that other part that we cleaned, we're going to have to put the strips, these other strips here, are going to go in this area here. Take the backing off again. And with these, you want to place them pretty much right on the corner section here, and I'll show you. So just about like so. You can see it's about midway, okay? And then you want it to be even about, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to certainly sit close to flush with the bottom of the car. On both sides. Okay, and then if you're happy with the position, that looks pretty good, you can go ahead and press it down. All these adhesive strips are pressure sensitive, so they won't actually take a good hold until you get the air out of them by pushing them down and stuff like that. So, and you can see, hopefully you can see that. We got a nice little lip there. And once we're done tensioning the light and everything, that lip will keep the front from falling down. And then of course you're supported in the rear, and that'll give us all the support we need. So now we just do the same thing with this side. Okay, and again, if you're happy with the position, it looks pretty good, you can go and push it down. If not, just feel free to adjust it a little bit. But that looks pretty good. So now we have both lips up front. So the front is done, the back is done. Now what we can do is tension it up a little bit. And you can just easily kind of maneuver it because we still haven't fully tightened down the back end yet, and that'll let us kind of easily do just like that. So the next step is going to be to get the wiring done. And again, we'll need to put the red over on this contact here, and then the black, move this out the way here, nice and gently. The black is going to go on this right here. So next part, that'll be coming up. And a little bit more on the negative. Okay, and you can see that I have my pre-10 solder connections here. I already pre-10 the wires. So what we'll do is we'll start with the positive wire. I'll just kind of bend it in a little bit. We can come in at an angle, something like that. Okay, so there's one. And we'll just go ahead and lay that one down, get that out the way so it's not in the way of anything. And then we'll do the negative. Okay, and we are connected. So you can check just by giving a very slight little tug. Okay, you don't want to pull it off because they are little contacts, but just a small little tug. You can see you have a good connection. Also be sure to check to make sure that you have no traces between the contact pads here. And again, if you do get some overlap, what you can do is just heat up the one side that you don't really want the solder on. Just kind of, if we pretend for a moment that this is my iron and this is the regular toothpick, you can just kind of heat up the one side here just like that. And then after you see that melt, you can just kind of run this right in between. Okay, same thing with any of these. Just put your iron there, heat it up the area that you don't want the traces to be in, and then just come and just very quickly and briefly scrape in between, and that'll clear out any interconnecting solder to avoid any kind of shorts or anything like that. Once you're all soldered up, you'll want to go ahead and check the wiring to make sure that we did a good job here. Let's go ahead and get that put out the way here. And what we'll do is just take the black to its corresponding side, and notice the orientation of the connector here. You want to put it on that way, supporting the underglow light here as you put it on to avoid pushing it forward. So we just line it up and push forward just like so. Do the same thing on the positive. And now we can turn it on. Ready? It works. So we know we did a pretty good job. All right, once that checks out, another thing you want to keep in mind is that our underglow light is actually dual-sided, meaning that one half of the light is actually brighter than the other. So we recommend putting the brighter side facing down towards the ground. That way you get that nice underglow cast effect, and still the other side being still nice and vivid will give the body a nice glow effect, but you have the bulk of the light going down towards the ground. So you can look at the light and it's not so noticeable on camera, but you should be able to see it in person. So in any event, if you have to make an adjustment to rotate the light, simply disconnect whichever connector, maybe even both, depending on how uniform it is all the way around. And then to rotate the light, let's turn that off for a second. To rotate the light, all you would have to do is spin it in the direction that you want to go, okay? And then as you're rotating it, just kind of push back and forth, and that will allow the light to spin inside the mounts that we made. If you need to, you can take it off the front lip, just drop that down, and if you have to spin the whole thing around, just do the same thing for both sides, just so that it's nice and uniform and you have the same amount of glow all the way around. Okay, so just keep that in mind. With that being said, we can go ahead and check the alignment, and it looks like we're actually pretty close already. So to tweak the alignment, if you had to, you can kind of push and pull. Again, always on the body of the light. Same thing here. And it's probably come down a little bit more on this side here. And that looks pretty good. Okay, tension looks nice. All right, and once that checks out, we'll want to go ahead and put the tires on, minding the orientation, because again, some of these Anki vehicles, the orientation of the tires can be unidirectional depending on like the year that they were made. So just put them back on the same way you took them off. Okay, and then with the tires on, now we can go ahead and check the clearance between the underglow light and the tire. So you know we got plenty of clearance there. Hopefully you can see that on camera there. And then same thing on the other side, plenty of clearance there. All right, if our clearance checks out, our tension's proper, we look aligned, we're happy with everything, we can go ahead and lock it in by simply pressing down and just kind of giving it that, you know, rotating pressure back and forth. And that'll help secure it even further to keep the light ever from moving anytime you don't want it to. All right, once it's locked in, we need to go ahead and clean up this wiring in the back. You can see it's a little messy. So let's go ahead and bring it in. And then just like so, you want to put a little loop in it. Okay, get a nice little loop. And then the angle's down here so that it's kind of riding on the back of the chassis. And then seated like that, we can go ahead and carefully bring the motor wires back over and lay them on top. And them being a stiffer wire material will help hold the whole thing in place. Do the same thing on the positive side. So again, we just kind of bring it in a little bit and bend it in a little bit, and then create that nice little, let's see here, create that nice little loop. Give us some slack in the event that we ever need it. And you'll see that looks nice and clean. You can also see we have a nice little angle coming down from the top, going down, and that helps to keep the light from bowing out at all, eliminating any chance that you could ever make contact with the tires here. So that's what we want. On vehicles like Big Bang, and this is a Big Bang chassis here, you'll notice that the wiring may be slightly different. You'll need to do it a little bit different. So you can see that side by side there, and that's due to the way that Big Bang's shell is shaped. If you were to route the wires like this, the shell would try to sit on top of the connectors here and you won't have that much room. So with Big Bang, you will want to just kind of put the wires and the connectors on the side of the chassis, just like you can see here. Okay. All right, so we can get the body back on. Let's get that plastic protector of the piece. Put that on there. And the body goes on the reverse that it went off. And then with the screw here, you can get that in. And then just nice and easily bring that down. And notice that now the screw is trying to come down on top of the light due to the tension. So all you have to do is just like so, just flip the light up over the screw. And now with the light on top of the screw, you can safely screw it down, no problem. Definitely don't want to just screw down on top of the light. Otherwise you may be buying a new light, and we want to avoid that. So we got the body on, our tension looks good. Let's check the back side here. Let's see. You can see you got plenty of clearance, and it's just me, or does that look like a little dual exhaust system from the back? Depending on how you, yeah, maybe it's just me. All right, so we're ready for the moment of truth. We got the body on. Let's light it up. All right, we are in busyness. What do you guys think? Look pretty cool, huh? Let's bring in Nuke, do a little side by side here. Oh yeah. Check them out. That is all there is to it, ladies and gentlemen. As far as charging goes, when it comes time to charge them, same as before. Just line the tires up with the concave grooves on the charging pad. Place them straight down on top of the charger. Maybe give them a little wiggle, maybe kind of this move here, but they go right on top. Charging clips go right in between the light here. You can see we got a little bit of flex, so there's no problem there. Certainly don't just, slam the car on top. You shouldn't do that anyway. But charging, same as before in that regard. So that is it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, certainly feel free to drop a line down below, shoot us a message, or whatever the case. Thank you for watching, and you all take care. Enjoy.